So I asked ChatGPT the question, what if black women in South Africa stopped using apartheid legacy banks and instead used West African multinational banks?
Reply to that question, keeping black women at the center of the vision while showing the big societal effects. Question, open quote. What if black women in South Africa stopped using apartheid legacy banks and instead used West African multinational banks? Close quote. My reply, if black women in South Africa collectively decided to close their accounts at the four big apartheid-era banks and move them to African-owned multinationals like Access Bank, EcoBank, or UBA, you would trigger one of the most profound economic shifts in the history of modern Africa. Let's be real. Black women in South Africa are not a side demographic. You are the largest consumer group in the country. You are the backbone of household financial decision-making. You are the market movers, the silent economists, the daily CFOs of millions of families. If even 20% of you moved your banking to African-owned institutions, billions of rands would shift overnight, not just in money, but in power. The apartheid legacy banks, Standard Bank, Absa, FNB, Nedbank, still carry the DNA of a system that excluded us for centuries. Their boards and major shareholders, largely foreign, largely white-owned, and many tied to entities like BlackRock, a global investment giant with no cultural or moral responsibility to African people. Every time you swipe your card there, your fees and interest flow to shareholders in New York, London, or Zurich. Now imagine instead that money moving within the continent. Imagine your debit card fee funding a housing project in Accra, your savings account interest building a girls' school in Lagos, your business loan underwritten by an African banker who understands your cultural context, not one who sees you as a risk profile. And don't think it's just symbolic. The numbers are real. According to the 2023 African Banking Report, West African multinationals have expanded into 20-plus African countries, proving they can operate across cultures and legal systems. Access Bank alone posted a profit of over $500 million USD in 2022, money that, when reinvested here, could seed South African entrepreneurs, fund affordable housing, and create financial products tailored for township economies. The social effects? Massive. Economic sovereignty. Black women would no longer be passive participants in a system designed without them. You would be active architects of a new financial reality. Pan-African integration. Your account in Johannesburg could connect seamlessly to markets in Lagos, Accra, Dakar, opening business opportunities without the chokehold of Western banking intermediaries. Psychological liberation. The symbolic break from apartheid-era institutions would be a cultural milestone on par with voting in 1994. It's the declaration, we will no longer finance our own oppression. Community reinvestment. African-owned banks have more incentive to fund African projects. Every loan, every account, every investment becomes a brick in the continent's economic foundation. Prediction. And here's my prediction. If this movement took off, the Big Four in South Africa would panic. They would suddenly start offering lower fees, better services, and more inclusion because they'd be forced to compete for your business. And that competition benefits everyone. Black women have always carried the energy of change, from leading liberation movements to holding communities together during crisis. You are the most influential political and economic force in this country when united. If you chose this path, in 10 years, South Africa would not just be a country in Africa, it would be a central hub of Pan-African finance. And for me personally, I think it would spark a chain reaction. Men would follow, entrepreneurs would flourish, the culture would shift. This would not be just a banking choice. It would be a revolution of wallets. And revolutions of wallets have toppled empires before. If you want.
So, what do you guys want to do with this information? I think it's pretty interesting.